But let's go back tonight to another era, the days of the Purple People Eaters, one of the finest defensive ends ever to play the position, Jim Marshall. But on one afternoon at venerable Kezar Stadium, October 25th, 1964, Marshall found, although there was somewhere to run, there was nowhere to hide. Jim Marshall, tonight's subject of our distant replay.
Jim Marshall was pro football's Iron Man. For 20 years, he labored in NFL pits, setting a record for longevity that will never be broken. Jim Marshall played in 282 consecutive games, thanks to a body that was built to play the game.
First time I saw Jim Marshall, he's the best looking athlete I've ever seen. 6'4", 30-inch waist, outrun every back we had, and play like you've never seen. And I never saw him not play every down, every play. Everybody loved him, played for, what, 19 years? Never missed a game at defensive end. I don't think he ever missed a practice.
He was there every single game, and all of the best news I would get many times was a trainer would come to me and say, gee, Jim Marshall, the night before a game, Jim Marshall got 103 temperature. I'd say, great. Jim Marshall always played better when he had a temperature, or he had a sprained ankle, or a jammed shoulder, or a sore wrist. I mean, he always pushed it up a notch. He was a unique football player.
He was a daredevil, you know, almost froze to death up in the Rocky Mountains, shot himself in the stomach with a pistol, jumped out of airplanes, and the chute didn't open, and he crashed.
And he was the featured player in the most infamous play in the history of the National Football League.
Marshall is running the wrong way.
You can't have a thin skin and play in the National Football League. It took a lot of guts for me to go back on that field because, you know, I took football very seriously. It was my occupation, and I had made, you know, the biggest mistake you could probably make in a football game.
Myra straight back to pass, looking. Now stops, throws, completes it to Kilmer up at the 30-yard line. Kilmer driving for the first down, loses the football. It's picked up by Jim Marshall, who's running the wrong way. Marshall is running the wrong way, and he's running it into the end zone the wrong way. Thinks he's scored a touchdown. He has scored a safety.
This is the thing about sports, that when you go to the stadium to see a game, you're never sure about what you're going to see. As I recall, it was Myra throwing a little pass to Billy Kilmer.
Well, I got hit right away by one of their linebackers or something. The guy got me turned around, and then Carl Kasulke, who was a great hitter, come out of nowhere and hit me and knocked the ball forward.
Seeing the ball loose and seeing the goalpost kind of triggered, you know, pick it up and run. And that's exactly what I did without really getting my bearings.
The minute he picked it up, I knew where he was going. It was going to run the wrong way, because that was the first statement that I made, was he's running the wrong way.
Picked up by Jim Marshall, who's running the wrong way. Marshall is running the wrong way.
Bruce Bosley was trailing. Bosley was trailing him, wasn't going to tackle him, naturally, because Bose knew he was going the wrong way too. But Bosley was the first one to congratulate him when he went in the end zone.
One of the 49er players came up and said, thanks, Jim, or something to that effect. You knew right away, boy, you really messed up this time.
Jim, you ran the wrong way. And his head just dropped, and his whole being dropped.
We were just beside ourselves. I mean, this was so unusual. We were just we had a ball about that, for a long time.
Interestingly enough, in that game, Marshall was the hero of that game, because he stripped George Myra of the football, causing a fumble, and Carl Eller got the fumble for the touchdown that won the game for Minnesota.
What really helped me through that whole thing was the fans. A lot of the people have come up to me and talking seriously about this and said, you know, we really had a lot of respect for you, you know, continuing on after that and doing as well as you did and playing as long as you played. People look back and think to themselves, if someone only knew, you know, a certain mistake that I made that was huge that I've covered up, you know, like they know this guy's mistake, you know, how would I feel? What would my life be like?
That certainly only gave him some notoriety. I don't think it tarnished his record any. I mean, he certainly belongs in the Hall of Fame.
And I've never known anybody who doesn't like Jim Marshall. He gave of himself, leadership, player. I mean, he is the consummate human being as far as I'm concerned.
He knew how to give everything he had, every play, every week. And it seems to me that given the skill with which he did it, he's the kind of player that the Hall of Fame was built for.